Hey, audacious leaders. Hello, nonprofit leaders. Today we are getting into it. Giving season is upon us, and so I want to make sure that you are prepared to bring in the dollars this giving season. If you're new to me, my name is Nkoyo F. Young Lewis, Chief Impact Strategist at Ibani Song Solutions, where we help audacious leaders turn their ideas into impact. Specifically, we help nonprofit leaders, social impact leaders overcome regulatory and operational challenges so they can strengthen their teams, streamline their processes, and scale their impact. And I love to tell people my favorite form of currency is, in fact, impact. And so ultimately, everything that we do is with the mantra of one, making sure that we are leading audaciously, that we're innovating ethically, and that we are expanding impact exponentially. And so if you are here, I don't know, all my screens are all together up here, so I can't even see where the comments are, but let me know you're here. If you are tuning in on the replay, let me know. Also, I do respond to the comments, etc. So please engage. I love, so when I talk, I want to hear some people talk back. So even if that is on the replay, I want to know that you're here. I want to know and hear what you're thinking and feeling so that we can make sure that we are building and doing the things that we need to do to ultimately make sure that we turn our mission into real life, right? You started that nonprofit, you joined that nonprofit organization as a board member, as a staff, volunteer, whatever it is, for a particular purpose, because you believe in what the theory of change is, what the picture of the next step is. And so I want to make sure that we're actually taking the steps necessary to get there. So today I'm going to talk about 3 things that you absolutely need to have to prepare for giving season. Again, 3 things that you need to have to prepare for giving season. And I'm going to tell you, first and foremost, I am not a fundraiser. I don't call myself that. I am a strategist. I'm a pragmatist. But I understand that it takes funds to do absolutely everything in this American capitalist culture. And so I had found myself as an accidental fundraiser when I ran for office and had to figure out how to get people to give money to my campaign so that I could spread my message and try to get a seat of power and influence. And while we weren't able to catch that seat, I did learn in a very short time how to raise money. In one of my campaigns, I was able to raise $48,000, almost $50,000 from my network and a little bit of a network beyond that as a first-time fundraiser. I am, not going to sneeze at that. Like, it was great having no idea what I was doing. The second time I ran, I had a very short window, was able to raise like $30,000 in 5 or 6 weeks or something like that, and build a whole campaign from scratch, from nothing. So I say all that to say, I'm not here talking about something that I have not had to do, that I have not had to sit in the same position and do the things that I'm going to ask you to do, invite you to do, encourage you to do. I'm here to tell you that I didn't have all the fancy training and this, that, and whatever. And I was also still able to raise money, which means that you absolutely can do it too. And I want to at least get you on the journey to do it, making sure that you have some funds that you raise this end of the year so that you can move your mission forward. Funding is a capacity issue that impacts culture and compliance. I'm going to say that again. Funding is a capacity issue that impacts culture and compliance. And if you've been rocking with me and what we do here at Ibani Song Solutions, you know that we hold on to what we believe is the impact triad. That if you want to make serious, profound, deep, system-shifting impact, you got to have 3 things together: your culture, your capacity, and your compliance. And funding is one of those little pernicious things that, if not managed well, can derail everything. It affects your ability to bring on the right board, to bring on the right staff, to have the resources you need to develop your programs and have more impact. It prevents you from building the infrastructure that your organization needs to actually fund and be and thrive. it messes with the culture. Because you tell me in the comments, right? When the money's funny, you are not your best self. You may not be your best self. And there's actually a lot of brain science around how stress prevents us from being creative, thoughtful leaders that we need to be to shift whole systems and create new ideas and processes to create and do and build more equity, more justice into our world. And so we can't have all these money pressures that prevent us from doing the other really important work, shifting systems, that's also equally exacerbating and challenging. And so funding is huge for capacity. I would say, system shifting work is challenging in and of itself. Try doing that on a shoestring budget, honey. I don't know. I mean, some of you all are actually superheroes. I am not one of those people. I'm not trying to be one of those people. So I'm trying to get you to the money so we can at least have a slightly easier road to the deep work that we are doing to solve intractable problems. Obviously funding is a capacity issue. It impacts the culture because we typically don't tend to be our best selves when we are heightened state of stress. It also becomes a compliance issue. One, how we raise money, the steps that we have to do, particularly as 501c3 nonprofits, which are heavily regulated. I always tell people it is a huge privilege to not have to pay taxes in a country that is funded on taxes. I also like to remind people of that because when everyone's trying to get out of paying taxes, reducing their taxes, it's like that's actually how we run the country. And so when we don't have enough tax base, our schools suffer, our roads suffer, all of the things that the government should be taking care of that has now rolled over to our third sector, our nonprofit space, doesn't get taken care of because they don't have the resources to do it. And then we get ourselves in this weird world where the wealthy get to decide what issues get taken care of. But beyond that, there are compliance aspects. There are actually laws that govern how we fundraise. There are requirements that we have to take on. I get deeper into that in the Giving Season Accelerator that is taking off October 27th to 29th. If you don't know, now you know. We're spending 3 days making sure that you have a strong plan to raise funds with less stress, including the stress of what's the oversight, regulatory things that you have to do. I want to make sure you know that everybody who's soliciting has actually registered to solicit. We could talk about that deeper in another space and time. But all these pieces need to be in place to make sure that you're able to bring in the money and be able to then in turn use that money effectively to bring your mission to life. So let's jump into the 3 things that you got to do, need to do, I want you to do to get yourself ready for funding giving season. First and foremost, you need to have a goal. I cannot tell you how many times people are very squeamish about setting a dollar amount or a donor amount goal. And here's what I mean. Oh, in this period of time, we want to raise $5,000, $10,000, $100,000. I don't know. It depends on, where you're at, your mindset, all those types of things, which we'll get into in the Giving Season Accelerator so we can get your mind right to go get the money. But we need to have a goal. It might be a dollar amount, right? It might be a number of new donors amount, right? This year, we want to bring in 50 new donors, first-time donors to our organization. This year, we want to sign up 100 monthly donors, recurring donors to our organization, right? Whatever it is, we need to have a goal. We need to have some sort of mark, some line in the sand that we are tracking towards so that we know where we're going, right? It's not enough to say, hey, I need to raise money, which is great, you do, but how much money? From how many people? How do we want to do this, right? We need to set goals so that we can then take that goal and build some strategy and a plan around it. And so that brings me to our next thing. We need a goal. What are we aiming for? How much are we trying to raise? What's the goal? And then we need to create a plan, a strategy, a roadmap around how we are going to get to that to make sure that we can do that. And here's the thing about plans. I love it. It's a detailed roadmap, actions, timelines, etc. Great. Plans are great. They're also fluid. So we've got to put something down there because we need to start trying to do something and then collect the information and data along and allow that to help us adjust our plan. Many of you drive. I live in Atlanta. We unfortunately have to drive because we do not have a solid public transportation city here, despite how populated it is. But I digress. When I get in my car and I'm going somewhere new, I might put it into Waze, I might put it into GPS, and it will take me. And if a road is closed, the GPS will redirect. It's like, hey, we've got new information. That path actually doesn't work. Or actually, hey, there's a slowdown, so it's going to take us a little bit longer. Or here's an alternate path. And we just, we ride with the thing. We let the technology tell us what to do when we move. We need to have that same sort of spirit when we are building plans to grow our business and fund our impact, because things don't always work out the way that we anticipated them. But we need to at least have something we're starting with so that we have things to build from. The third thing, got to have a goal, need to have a plan. Third thing, this is one of my favorite things to help organizations do. We need systems. And Koyo, what's the difference between a system and a plan? Like I said, a plan is your roadmap, it's your actions, it's your timelines, these are the things that we're doing. Your system is the overall structure, the processes, the methodologies that are going to define how you function. I always say to people will come to me, oh, Nkoyo, I need to go get grants. I want to fund for grants. I want to tap into these bigger networks and get these bigger dollars. That is fantastic. I'm going to tell you this. If you can't ask your friends and neighbors for $100 to support your nonprofit, it's going to be really hard for you to figure out how to fill out a proposal and do all these things to ask these great big donors, foundations, etc., to give you the money. And here's the other thing, right? Philanthropy is relationship based. Like most things, people fund people. People buy from people. You got to have some sort of relationship there. So you're not going to just wake up one day and be like, you know what? I'm now going to just apply for all these grants, which is a bear of a task in and of itself. Got to have systems, got to have an approach, got to have a strategy for even determining what grants you go after. But you have to have a way to follow up with these things, to make sure you have your documents in place, so on and so forth. And the same is true with individual giving, which actually, individuals give a lot of money. I think we downplay it because they're not always writing the big $10,000 check, $100,000 check over X amount of time that you can get from foundations and grants in the government, etc. So I get why those things are more appealing. Because, sometimes getting $5 when you're like, I'm trying to raise $50,000 is disheartening. But every time someone gives you $1, they are putting trust in your organization. And there's something that you're doing that's helping them to see what you're doing and how it connects to their vision and values about how the world works. And so there is value in learning how to ask individuals to contribute. And if you are starting out, you're new in this journey, just like when I was running for office, we talked about we would Rolodex, and there's a graphic, I'll share it inside the Giving Season Accelerator, that kind of shows how people give and how we start close and build out. And so you got to have a system for how you are going to go about fundraising. And this is a compliance issue also, because when people give over a certain amount, you actually are required to give them a letter that affirms or confirms that donation. And sometimes people don't get that part. You should be thanking all of your donors. And I will tell you, I had a horribly unfortunate experience with this. I ran for office for the first time in November of 2023. Got a whole bunch of people to give, was in the process trying to get all these cards out. It's a shame, I still have thank you cards from that didn't make it into the mailbox. It's horribly shameful. I hold some real shame about this, right? And then I decided in May I was going to run again. In March of 2024 that I was going to run again. Very last minute, very, very wild, very giving rebound campaign vibes. But we did it. And I had to go ask some of these same people whose cards are still sitting here on my desk to give again. You don't want to be in that situation, right? Everybody wants to be appreciated. Whether it's $5 or $500 or $5,000, you should show some appreciation for that, some gratitude. And so we got to have a system to help us to actually be able to do all these things. The other thing that people often forget is that folks don't necessarily give the first time that you ask. And so sometimes you have to have a system to follow up with people, to continue to nurture them, even after they've given, so that they will be continued to be invested in what you're doing. You may reach out to people for Giving Tuesday and not hear anything, and need to have a follow-up cadence, because a lot of people actually give at the end of the year. December 29th, 30th, and 31st are big money days for individual giving. Why? Because we're getting to the end of the tax year, and so people are trying to figure out what they're going to do, and you can capitalize and give them a solution to that problem. But you got to have a system to do that, which means we have to think a little bit about our infrastructure, and not just, hey, I'm making an ask and I'm getting this money, but like, how am I doing this in a systemic way that will allow me to do this repeatedly? James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, was speaking at a conference that I also happened to be speaking at. And he mentioned that a goal allows you to win one time, but having a system allows you to win multiple times. And so that really sat with me, is that we need to have better systems. He also mentioned that people don't rise to the level of their goals, they fall to the level of their systems. And so inside the Giving Season Accelerator, I am going to be deliberate, intentional, etc., in helping you to build systems that allow you to, in this instance, fundraise more effectively, so you can bring in more dollars, have more capacity to hire people, eventually actual fundraisers. My goal with my firm and what we do with some of the services that we offer, including our monthly subscription, is to prepare people, help people who are pre-legal, is what I call it. You don't have enough funds yet to hire an outside general counsel or bring someone in-house, but you can get this good compliance support from a former nonprofit attorney. And we can help you build the systems, prepare yourself, have the foundation in place, so that when you're able to hire someone, you're not going to them because you have a gajillion legal issues that are going to possibly shut down your organization, right? That's my theory of change. Everybody can't afford legal at first, but you still need legal. So how do we make sure that you have more consistent information, resources related to the compliance things that you have to do, so that we can hopefully spot issues and avoid costly legal mistakes by managing our compliance effectively. But that's a whole other set of things. Happy to talk with anyone who's interested in more compliance and innovation support. We offer that here at Ebony Song Solutions. But in this moment, I'm really excited to kick off and launch and go on a journey with you all to increase your fundraising strategy, make sure that you're getting more resources, and that you're doing this in real time as giving season is upon us. I gave you 3 things that you need to do to prepare. You need to start thinking about that goal. Is it a dollar amount? Is it a donor amount? How many donors are we bringing in? How many new donors, monthly donors, whatever? What's the goal? Some of all of that. What's our plan? And actually inside the accelerator, we're going to start building out that plan, or shoring up the plan that you have. And if you've got no plan, for $47, you can come get a plan and a system and a strategy, and get yourself some dollars between now and the end of the year. Because we got to fund our impact. If we're really going to have the change that we seek to see in the world, if we're going to have our missions reality, you got to have resources to do that, regardless of what you feel about money or capitalism. That's unfortunately the game that we're in. And so we got to make sure that we are at least playing to the best of our ability for the causes and communities that are relying on us to help them shift whole systems. Got to have a goal, got to have a plan, got to build some systems. And the other thing that I will say, I'm going to give this to y'all for free early now, is if you haven't talked to your email audience, if you don't have an email list, if you have an email list but you haven't emailed them since last Giving Tuesday, if you've got social media but you haven't really been on there posting or anything consistently, you have got to start warming up your audience, warming up your social media, because you will have your heart broken making all these beautiful social media posts for Giving Tuesday that nobody sees because the algorithm doesn't know that you exist. So we also have a strategy to help you to do that as well. Inside the Giving Season Accelerator, I will drop the chat because I don't know why I did not put it on here, period, to make sure that you had it here. It is, You can, of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel. The link is there. All my stuff is very consistent. So if you want to get to the Accelerator, it is at go.leadaudaciously.com/GSA. If you're following me on LinkedIn, it's in my bio. If you are on YouTube, I'll drop it in the show notes here. If you're on Facebook, I'll post it there as well. LinkedIn, everybody gonna get the link. Everybody gonna get the link. And I encourage you to sign up. It is for the absurdly nominal amount of $47. And we're doing 3 days of practical training to help you get your system set up. And so I encourage you to jump in on this deal. I promise you it will never be this amount again, ever again. So jump in while you can. There is a replay, so if you can't make it all 3 days, if you can't make it the days period, you can get the replay. You'll get access to all of the training and the resources still, again, for the very low price of $47. You can consider this me paying it forward to make sure that you get the things that you need so that you can go do the thing that you set out to do. That is absolutely my goal in my heart, to help you fund your impact so that we can go lead audaciously and shift these systems. All right, that's all I've got. Thanks for tuning in again. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're following me and you happened upon this, hit the follow. We're growing in community and content. We are learning together in public and leading audaciously. And so I invite you to join me in that journey. And of course, as always, go lead audaciously.